I started wet shaving when I was still on active duty in the Army. Part of being in the Army is you get up and you shave every morning, and then you go and do physical training for an hour, and that has a way of really irritating your skin. A friend of mine suggested I try wet shaving. I tried it, and about 3 weeks of cutting myself up, I started getting good shaves out of it.
The Army also introduced him to Mandy Parker, who became his wife and business partner.
We got married in 2009. In 2011, after I got back from my last tour to Iraq, she and I took our belated honeymoon to Scotland, and that's where the name comes from, for one. When we came up with the idea to start making soap, we were actually on top of the William Wallace Monument in Stirling, Scotland. The tree in our logo is actually just from a photo that we took in Queen Anne's garden in Stirling Castle. So I started making soap and went through probably 5 or 6 different iterations of formulas before we hit on the one that is basically the basic formula of what we sell today. I didn't want to put a premium price tag on it. I didn't want us to be so vulnerable to any type of economic downturn, but I also didn't want to turn off your average everyday shaver that maybe just has one razor, one soap, and an aftershave at a time. We're still making the same size batches that we were, 8-9 years ago. A typical batch for me is 24 jars of soap, about 10 refill pucks, and about 30 samples.
Mandy and Rob have something new brewing.
Nothing goes better with your morning shave than a cup of really good coffee. We've always thought for a longest time that the kind of people that are willing to pay for premium soap, premium shaving products, they're probably already drinking high-end coffee.
We've got this one gutted, almost ready to start cleaning the concrete floors.
The Lovins are not only committed to their brand, they're also helping revitalize their home base. Boonville, Arkansas is a small town with about 4,000 residents. Its population and economy have been in decline since the mid-20th century.
We bought the theater and the 2 buildings next to it to turn it into a theater, an old-time candy shop, and an arcade. So it'll be a 3-building complex. And it's, we're trying to put everything that we make from Stirling back into cleaning up, a town that's fallen on some really hard times over the last few decades. By the end of it, my hope is that these entire both sides of the street for this block right here, every window will have a Stirling sign on it.
I've always remembered wet shaving as we do it now with my father, because he always shaved that way. But when I started, I didn't want any of that. I hated shaving. I hated it. It was a chore, but you had to do it.
Shaving used to be looked at as a chore. Now, it wasn't in the old days. I think in the old days, 50s and 60s and early 70s, people were actually taking the time to use the brush.
I started getting even better shaves, and it was like a whole nother awakening. And I was like, wow, there's more to it than just saving money. I can actually even make this a more enjoyable process and get even better shaves.
When I was taking the time, it was just a pleasurable experience in the morning. I put some music on my phone, shut the bathroom door, and there's 10 minutes where I can clear my head before the day starts. And I'm taking my time and actually putting in the effort to make myself look nice for the day.
It just felt good, and it was relatively cheap, and it was like, why am I using this other stuff?
I looked at my father, and he was always freshly shaved, pink skin, and I thought, I'm going to go back to that then. And that's what I did.
Choosing something to use, razor, blade, soap, brush, laying out my little towels on the side and putting my razor on it, then going having your shower, getting your face prepped, whatever you do. It's just that the whole ritual of doing that's enjoyable. And if you get a good shave at the end of it, well, that makes it even better.
I I think it's kind of pampering yourself to do this. You're kind of, you're getting the most out of a shave. It becomes more fun than more of a burden.
I think it's reclaiming our time back as men. As men, we have lost time and we have lost space. We've lost a lot. And so when I shave in my den, I'm reclaiming that time back in my life. I'm saying I have 20 minutes to a half hour to shave. I'm worth it.
You're watching The Shave.
Great moments in YouTube wet shave history.
Good stuff. One more. Just a little bit, not a lot. I'm not taking big slugs of it. Here we go. Okay. I don't want to waste it, but it wasn't very expensive. Actually, that wasn't bad.
It was fine. It was, because so many aftershaves have such a high alcohol content that it actually burned less than a lot of them. It was way less painful than that Cella Cool that people want to see me use because I suffer so greatly from it. So it was fine.
Fine Accoutrements helped ignite a craft shaving revolution in 2013. The journey began when the real Mr. Fine, Todd Cerami, came across a Today Show story online.
And actually, it was a segment that featured wet shaving and traditional wet shaving products. And I don't know, something about the style of it, the romance of it, and the fact that it was cheaper than than supermarket razors. It just seemed like such an interesting way to go about things compared to what I was doing at the time, which is, the cartridge razors. As the story progresses, what happened was after I read Leisure Guy's book and I started using 3 passes instead of just one on my shaving technique and using better soaps, I started getting even better shaves, and it was like a whole nother awakening. I found Alt Innsbruck, a small niche cologne aftershave out of Austria, and I really enjoyed it. And the only problem was it was pretty expensive, and it only had 4 ingredients in it. So I thought, hey, 4 ingredients, how hard can it really be to figure that out? I was an investment advisor and I'd been in the investment business for 15 years. I didn't have any intention of building a shaving business or anything like that. I want the best aftershave ever. And I'll pick fragrances that are already known to wet shavers as being favorites, and offer them at a lower price and see what happens. And it took off. I had my parents over here sometimes and my kids helping me out. I've got 4 kids, and a couple of them like to get involved. When Daddy was doing science, I'd start mixing things up in beakers at the dining room table and testing different formulas and putting labels and packing all the bottles and stuff for shipments. I wanted to be able to hire a contract manufacturer to make the aftershave. And when the business got to a certain size, I was able to do that. And they were able to replicate my formula exactly, and maybe even improve it because of the filtering technologies that they bring to the table.
Today, the Fine Accoutrements name is on about 30 products. Each one has to meet Todd Cerami's demanding specifications.
Every product I make specifically because I can't get it anywhere else the way it is, and it's exactly the way I want it. I love coming up with a product that's just, this is it. When you get there and you're like, whoa, okay, man, I put a lot of work into designing this, and when you get to the end, it's like, okay, here's a product that I can really be proud of.
The factory that manufactured Fine Accoutrements' signature soaps shut its doors in 2020. Todd had to find a new contractor. He also found a way to take a negative situation and turned it into a positive, making his soap even better than before.
Every hour I spent, from perfecting this product really, paid off. I love this thing. It's like, this is the soap that, there's nothing else I could do to this soap to make it better than it is right now, in my mind. And if there was, I would do it, but there's not. So it's done. And when I get to that point, that's the process that really keeps me going.
It's all about the shave.
Probably expecting greatness right out of the gate. There's so many variables that can go wrong when you're switching over to wet shaving, between holding the razor at the wrong angle, or putting your base plate on upside down, or getting too thin of a lather or too dry of a lather, or going too fast or with too much pressure.
They see a video of a guy using a feather blade or a certain blade and a certain razor, and they go, "Oh, worked for him." And they go too fast to try to shave with it.
The beginning wet shaver, the first couple of times, it's the pressure. It's always the pressure. People are just pressing too hard. They're used to these cartridge razors where you almost do have to press them into your face. And if you're getting irritation from trying safety razor shaving for the first time, it's probably the pressure. You're not pressing at all. You're just letting it fall down your skin. You're not trying to remove anything. You're letting the razor do the work.
I think they're too quick to try a blade razor combo without just going slow and seeing how it works for them, because there's a lot of combos that do not work for me. It just doesn't work in a certain razor I'm using.
I'm guilty of this. Trying too many different products early on, instead of sticking to one kind of razor, a few different blades, and maybe 2 or 3 soaps. When you first start out, and once you get into it, you think, "Oh, I just want to try this, I want to try that," and then you see someone else using it. "Oh, that looks great, I want to try that." There's no kind of end to it at all. I think if I was to go back, knowing what I know now, I think I would just use maybe 2 or 3 razors, maybe an adjustable razor, just to get your technique down a little bit, because I look back at some of my early videos and I was using like R41s and all these aggressive razors, and I was thinking, man, that's cut me to shreds, and it could put some people off.
You're watching The Shave.
I'm Shane Swartzlander. I'm the founder and owner of Blackland Razors, and we make fine razors made here in the USA. The new razor is the Era, and this is a really unique product. This is a razor that is made with a new process of 3D printing metal. By using this process, we're able to actually mass produce 3D printed metal in a way that no one else has done before. When you pick up this razor, you will be blown away by the quality you're getting. It's a razor that punches way above its price point. It's a razor that's every bit as good as every other thing we make. While a machined stainless steel razor would cost around $200, we can actually get that down to $75 using this without sacrificing any shave qualities or actual physical qualities of the product. We can actually create this new product, the Era, that is as accurate, as high quality, as mechanically sound, with the same physical properties as machined stainless steel at a fraction of the price. A super high-end product at a everyman price point, all still made here in the USA. So the shaver shouldn't care that it's 3D printed. They should care that they're getting a USA-made full stainless steel razor with perfect edge-to-edge blade clamping, perfect shaving geometries, 10 base plate options for $75. This is the future of manufacturing, and more specifically the future of American manufacturing. And through innovation, we can get back to making things here. We can be competitive across the world, and I believe that when we put American-made products that are high quality with great design, and we put them at a reasonable price point, I think that people will try to buy them. I think that people want to support things that are made here. I think they want to support American jobs and American innovation. And we have to use technology to get that to a reasonable price point for the everyman.
Sometimes it can be technique, but most times it's water. So I could have soft water and they could have hard water, and it doesn't work. So a thing I've said to people before is, if you're not sure if it's your water that's the problem, is use bottled water to create the lather. If it lathers up, then you know it is your tap water.
You're watching The Shave. You know, everyone starts shaving this way. Yeah, I started saving it. I'm going to save money. Honestly, darling, I'm going to save money. Okay, you ain't going to save money.
If you enjoy this way of shaving, you just spend money.
All these different brushes, all these different razors are available, and all these blades.
I've had a few people saying that their wives are going to put a contract out on me because they're spending too much money, you see, with it.
I would never have paid maybe 5 years ago, $150 for a razor, but I paid a couple of them. I've done that a few times now.
There was one year I bought, I think, like $2,500 worth of gear just 1 year. And so my purchasing is not at that level. It's maybe like 15 a month now.
It's an addiction.
But there's so many products now, so many artisans. And if you get sort of hooked, which we all have really, it can get expensive. So you have to have a good willpower, have a very thoughtful, very nice wife.
What happens down the rabbit hole stays down the rabbit hole. Let's just leave it there. For a desert island, I think mine would be a Rockwell 6S. My blade in that would be a Gillette Nasset. My brush would be probably that darn Rob synthetic knot. He has some nice handles. I have one of his brushes with a synthetic knot. The soap, oh my goodness. The soap. I've just tried a new soap actually by a soap company called 345 Soap Company, and the smell on it was fantastic. It has great ingredients, so I would take that. I would take that as my desert island soap. And aftershave, you know what? Because you're deserted on an island near the sea, let's go Old Spice. And we can sail away on that ship.
You're watching The Shave.
So it was a total fluke by accident that I pretty much found this technique.
Meet Reed Zephyr.
Let's go for a whip.
AKA the Lather Whipster.
I don't call it a slap, I call it a whip, because it's an actual spin.
He can whip up shave soap like no other. Reed could bring a shave brush to a drum battle. Sometimes it looks good enough to eat, but his technique was born out of necessity.
So sometimes you want to get out the door, and so having to just continually rely on that bowl for lather, sometimes you don't have the time.
Reed's secret?
It's about finding the balance in the knot. Like as you're applying, the soap and the mixture, you'll feel the weight. You'll feel it, that it's ready to be applied.
You can find him on YouTube at Shave Cave and on Instagram at latherwhipster.
Cool.
It's all about the shave.